Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I'm very excited for tonight's show because I am joined by a good friend of mine who I have not had the pleasure of sharing the microphone with in quite some time. I am Ron Luce, joined by the one and only Mr. Joey Ricotta. My friend, how are you, buddy? Happy Sunday.
Good, man. Happy Sunday.
May the 4th be with you, if for those who celebrate.
True, very true. I do not, but that's okay. I'm okay with everybody that does. It's no shade thrown there. Yeah. So what is also on the 4th? I think it's like Orange Juice Day too. So
Orange Juice Day?
Yeah. Are you a pulp or no pulp guy?
I'm a no pulp guy through and through.
Good. Yeah. Good. You stay concentrated. Always concentrated. Yeah, no, I don't know how we got on that. No, I'm doing good, man. It's a Series W. I know today was a kind of a shit show. Well, not shit show, but just a loss. Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
There were some shitty things that happened.
Indeed.
But yeah, I couldn't let you like ride solo on another Sunday, man. I know you've been having to do that lately, and it sucks.
Hey, I'll tell you what though, there's something to be said, especially when they lose in like a horrific way that pisses me off. It's almost like a therapy session for me. It's like you release the demons of the weekend and just talk them out on a Sunday night, and then like I go to bed peacefully because it's all off my brain. So like they've served their purpose, but it is good being joined by you, my friend. Tonight's you mentioned a series win, and that is the title of our show tonight. Sorry, everybody, I have a mustache here. They keep poking me in the nose and it's pissing me off. And that is series wins keep brewing, and that's been the theme for the Cubs so far this season. The series wins, they take another one against another NL Central opponent. So they got the one in Pittsburgh, and we talked about it on the last show on Thursday, and then of course the Cubs are doing good things here again and taking care of the Brewers as well. So 4-2 over the course of their first 2 series against NL Central opponents, which I think every Cubs fan will tell you they'll take, every single day and even twice on Sundays. But Joey, the Cubs took care of business early in this series, right? It was quick 2 wins. Sunday obviously didn't go their way, but they made a statement on Friday. Like Saturday's win was good. Don't get me wrong. A 6-2 victory is something you will always take. But Friday felt like the like, hey, Milwaukee, remember you guys still thinking that we weren't ready to take over this division? Hey, we're going to punch you in the throat with a 10-0 win and have your friend or your fans being pissed and becoming a meme over the weekend because he doesn't want another PCA home run in his lap. Like those first 2 games to me, Joey, because I think you've heard me say it on this show. I know everybody else has, right? I had a case of the maze for the last 3 years with this Cubs team where they just pissed away a good month of baseball in April with a bad May.
Mm-hmm.
They started May on the best foot that I've seen them start May on in 3 years, at least, if not longer. I will tell you right now, I feel like after Saturday night's win, I was juiced up, and I feel like finally on board to ride the ups and the downs on a day-to-day with this Cubs team. I was really kind of standoffish early, like enjoying it, but standoffish. Now I'm fully vested, ready to dive in, which is why I think I was a little more irrationally upset with today's loss on Sunday than I would have been, because I'm buying in. I'm going to sit down and watch every single pitch tomorrow only for them to suck today.
Get shut out. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's neither here nor there. But dude, I mean, talk about it. And Scott brings up kind of a good point here. This kind of relates to Saturday's theme. Do the Cubs have 3 MVP candidates on their team?
They kind of do.
Low key.
Yeah. Low key. Yeah. I mean, dude, I'm right there with you, man. I think it's like basically what you said. It was a statement game. That first game, and really the second game too, and PCA with that clutch, just like busted open 3-run bomb off Quintana, which is like exactly, it's chef's kiss when it's a former Cub like that who didn't really pitch all that great for you when he was here. And so I know
let's not forget 2017. He was their best pitcher going into the playoffs.
Look, Quintana had some moments with the team, and especially when he first came to the Cubs. He was really good after the trade, right? I'm not mad at Quintana at all from his time here, but like it feels good, especially because it's the lefty for PCA too.
Lefty, and a good lefty matchup because entering that game, Quintana had a 1.14 ERA.
Oh, he's been on fire. He's really
been
actually
nasty.
pretty damn good the last couple years. I mean, this is a guy that, you look at him and you would think that he's been pitching forever. And he's still, mid-30s or whatever. He's not like super old, but like I think after his time with the Cubs, I wouldn't have been shocked to see that he was out of baseball within like a year or two after his tenure with the Cubs, and this is a guy that's kind of stuck, credit to him, but not to go down that rabbit hole of Quintana, but it was just those first two games, man, like statement wins. And yeah, it gives you that feeling of, hey, we can buy in now. This isn't the same old Cubs that are going to go in there and, Milwaukee's given us problems, obviously, but like, that was, hey, we're here, we're running this division this year, and that's what it felt like. And I mean, a sweep would have felt nicer, but all in all, you end the road trip when a 4-2, 4-2 6-game road trip, and I think that alone, both of them against divisional opponents, and whether the Pirates are that good or not, I mean, you end that series and it's Paul Skeens, and it's who would have thought that they were going to win that series when Skeens takes them out? It's not like that's not a given after you've already split the first two. So like, I don't care how they do it at this point. Whether what order it's in or who they're doing it against. I mean, it's always been the same for me. Same goes for like, look at, 2016 or 17 or any of the years that they were really good leading up to this. Series wins, series wins is all that matters. And you got another series win at Wrigley North. So yeah, man, I'm riding high, even though after the loss today, I really am.
I feel that Wrigley North indeed, man. There was some notable posts on social media from some like big accounts that were like, this game is not at Wrigley Field, folks. And like, it sounded like it though. Cubs fans were out in droves for this series, and rightfully so. The team's exciting. They're fun right now. Like Scott asked early, like this team's got 3 players right now that you could argue are early MVP candidates in the National League. And we haven't even mentioned the fact that Michael Busch has been flirting with a 900 OPS for pretty much the entire season.
He's been killing it too. Great at bats, a lot of great at bats.
There's 4 legitimate thumpers right now on this team, with another really 5 if you add Carson Kelly in there.
Carson Kelly, who's been hitting some cleanup now.
Yeah. And then you take in, Nico Horner, sure, he's like a 680 OPS, but he's doing his job. He's doing what Nico does best. Ian Happ has been really good of recent and is doing exactly what people expect Ian Happ to be in that leadoff spot. And now Dansby's starting to come around. So even your complementary pieces of the lineup are starting to hit, in addition to, again, some incredible pieces of hitting that we've seen thus far. But Joey, on the bright side too, from those first 2 games, we can also look at the Cubs obviously not only taking care of business in the way that they take care of business, and good defense. Nicky Lopez makes a start at third base, made a couple really nice defensive plays at that position. I think it keeps him on the roster over the course of potentially the rest of the season. I think there's a world where Vidal Brujan's the casualty once Matt Shaw inevitably makes his return, whenever that is at some point this season. Again, reeling it back in. Jameson Taillon and Ben Brown were really good. Ben Brown, I know he's been very up and down, so I think everybody can confidently agree that, hey, it was really nice to see a good start out of him on Friday. And it became a low stress win for him once they had the 4th inning and they kind of were able to develop a little bit of a cushion against the Brewers. But how about Jameson Taillon in the masterclass that he's been putting on so far this season? Outside of that game against the Diamondbacks back in March, he has been spectacular. Arguably, he's been the Cubs' best starter. I would put him up there with Shota, frankly, at this point. I think they've been equally as good this far into the season, and it just shows the type of wild card that Jameson Taillon has been since joining the Cubs. When he's on, and he looks really good right now. And we got to see it again on Saturday, him pitch another quality start and give them an opportunity to win a ball game.
Yeah, dude, JMO has really impressed me. Just consistency wise. He's going to go out there and give you 6 solid quality innings of, 2-run, 1-run baseball. Like he has been really dynamite for the Cubs. It feels like, outside of, like you said, that Arizona game, maybe, I don't know. I can't even really recall another game where he was like, where he looked bad. That was the game where he looked bad. But like, outside of that, I mean, maybe giving up a couple runs here and there, a few runs, but like he's been giving you the innings. He's been keeping your team in games and going deep into games, which you love to see. And I agree with you. I think between him and Shota, who, of course we're going to talk about, I'm sure here, obviously we need to get to that, but he's been a really bright spot, and they're really going to rely on him here coming up. It sounds like, so, not to, bury the lead or whatever, but it's a really crucial point here when it comes to the Cubs pitching staff as a whole. And I thought, like you said about Ben Brown, that Friday game, was it Friday that Brown pitched? Yeah. Friday, I thought he did a really good job too, because it felt like, I was actually surprised that Chris Flexen was called up. And that, to me, it felt like Flexen was brought up as, if Brown gets into trouble, we're going to go to Flexen and he's going to be the long guy.
That's what I thought.
And he didn't get into trouble, and he just like continued to throw and pitch really well into that game. And then Flexen came on and, shut the door down. He did a really nice job out of the pen for, I don't know if it was like 3 innings or something.
3.
But
pitched a full 3. Yeah.
Between those two, they did a great job of saving the bullpen for the rest of the series. And, I know it didn't really work out in their favor today, but like Merriweather was able to pitch the last 2 games of the series out of the bullpen. And, he didn't have the greatest outing here today, but he was good in the first one. And really, you set them up in a good position to keep that bullpen fresh. So all in all, I think the rotation did a really solid job in this series. Showed obviously sucks what happened today, him leaving early, but I know that's a spot that we've been looking at, the pitching staff as a whole, as a weakness, but they're kind of keeping them in games too, even when games where they're not scoring, like today.
100%. And Joey, I think you set up kind of the transition into our next point perfectly here, because there is still a lot, I think, that is left to be desired with the bullpen. I think Sunday's game more or less took care of that. And again, that's a tough spot for Merriweather to come into. So we'll take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. I mean, you're coming in cold, even if you get all the time in the world to warm up, you're coming in cold. But what I will say is maybe reinforcements are coming. Tyson Miller has been spectacular on his rehab assignment, and he looks healthy. I don't think he was healthy in spring. I think that's why he was struggling. They shut him down. He gets healthy. He's pitched 7 1/3 scoreless, I believe, in 7 appearances in AAA Iowa. That's a guy that might come back soon and could maybe
really good last year too.
Yeah, could maybe help stabilize a little bit of that middle relief area before you get to guys like, Hodge and Presley, who have seemed to really settle into their roles. But now we have to look at the starting rotation. Jamison Tyone, congratulations, brother. You got a chance to be an ace for a little bit probably here, because we'll find out more on Monday, more likely than not. But there is a good chance that Shota Imanaga is going on the IL after what happened on Sunday. So for those that maybe didn't see the game, Matthew alluded to it a little bit earlier with his comment. He says, if Shota doesn't pull up on the double play, it's done. Shota Imanaga going to cover first base after Bush makes a really nice play to try and turn 2. He comes up kind of grabbing the back of the old hammy. And it's a hamstring strain, according to the Cubs. They're going to do more evaluation on it before they decide if he's going to need an IL stint or not. My guess is he's going to need an IL stint. So now the elephant in the room is what Jay asks here. Is Cade Corton coming up? Because that's been a hot topic of discussion since roughly about 2:00 this afternoon on Sunday. Even in the middle of the game when, the great Tommy Birch of the Des Moines Register was getting a bunch of updates out there about how good, Horton looked today in his start at Iowa. 6 innings of, I think he gave up 1 hit or 1 earned with like 4 hits, a walk, and like 6 Ks. It was really, really good again. Is he coming up? Is Jordan Wicks coming back up? That's a guy that a lot of people haven't even talked about in this scenario, which I think is a fair point to bring up. Or are they going to start Chris Flexen? And Joey, that's kind of where that's where I'm leaning, is the Chris Flexen experiment. Because what I don't think a lot of people have realized, and I know a lot of people do not follow the minor leagues religiously when it comes to the Cubs. Like, it's hard enough to follow one level of baseball over a whole season, let alone like 4.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Flexen was spectacular in 5 starts with Iowa. The reason he was called up is because if he wasn't on the big league roster by the end of April, he became a free agent because of the way his contract was structured.
Okay, I didn't even.
They had to call him up if they wanted to keep him. So why not call him up? I thought he was coming up for exactly what you said. Piggyback guy to Ben Brown. Maybe in the future he takes Ben Brown's spot in the rotation and they push Ben Brown to the bullpen if he continues to struggle. That's the big caveat, is if. Now, Chris Flexen, congratulations, brother. You might have just gotten yourself a starting rotation spot, because Shota Imanaga's probably going to hit the 15-day. And I've said it with Rich on these microphones over the last 2 weeks. I've said it with Nick on Thursday. And Joey, I get to say it with you now. To me, there's no reason to rush Cade Horton. He lost a whole year of development, folks. He's never thrown more than 88 innings in a season. Even if he comes up for a little bit and goes back down, is he going to get shut down early and then they lose more development time because he got used too much at the big league level and he wasn't ready for that? We don't know how he's going to hold up. I would rather – Chris Flexen had a really good year for the White Sox last year. I know the ERA didn't look good, but that guy routinely went out there and gave them 6 innings when most of that starting rotation wasn't doing that. He's earned an opportunity. He has a 1.16 ERA in 5 starts at Iowa this year.
Yeah, he's been good. I kind of agree. Well, I do agree. We talked about this just a little bit before hopping on here. And Flexen has had some good moments too with the Mariners. This isn't a guy that he's not a rookie. He's going to come in there, and if you want the seasoned vet that can give you quality innings and at least keep you in games and not have to worry about is he going to be jittery? Is he going to be walking the yard in his first MLB start? A team that's contending in first place of their division, who just needs you to go out there and do your job and keep the offense in the game. I think Chris Flexen is the answer. Now, you look at the upside of a Cade Horton. Do I believe that the upside is, obviously it's there and it's greater than if you Flexen, if you're going to use Horton now. Problem with that is, and I go one of 2 ways with this. I like where your head is about, he hasn't pitched that many innings and he's lost a lot of development time. So you want to get him the work in necessary and make sure he's ready. I think from a pitching perspective, he's probably ready. Right? Even though the development was lost, I think he can kind of learn a bit at the major league level, go back down if he needs to and come back up. That's no problem. I don't think he's going to lose a lot developmentally from getting a little taste.
Sure.
But the problem is you run into the innings issue. And I think it's more beneficial. Now there's that need there with Shota, not only Shota, but Steele being out. You have basically 2 holes, which Colin Ray has stepped in and been there is no hole there with Justin Steele, which has been incredible to see. But do you want to use him now and have to maybe not shut him down, because I don't want to predict any injuries here, but maybe have to cap his innings at a certain point and then re-jump him, or shut him down a little bit early in the season because of the innings cap. I would rather them give him a natural
bullpen role maybe late in the year to help that
could
count.
That could work. I would be all for that. So maybe, I don't know. So there's a couple ways you could look at it, as all right, well, maybe we just start him now because there's a need there and then throw him in the bullpen, or you just kind of let him develop a little bit more, shut him down for a little bit to give him just a natural break. Maybe around the All-Star break, that kind of period, and maybe a week or 2, some kind of phantom, not even a phantom IL when you're really in the minor leagues, but I mean, you can call it whatever you want, and then bring him up towards the back end stretch of the season. And then maybe you get a stud. Problem is, do you want to be playing around with pitching, towards the end of the season, or like July, August time for him to figure it out and then get into that mode. So maybe this is a good time to get. I don't know. I'm trying to work through everything in my brain. Maybe it's a good time to just give him a little taste.
And
I don't know.
A way we can continue to spin that here, Joey. Fake ball coach says here in the comments, first off, Flexen needs to keep his flexing his muscles.
He's been good too.
That one made me. I
like that.
Was a good one. But he says Shota could be 2 months, and he's right. So I did a little research on this earlier because I wrote up the article over at OntapSportsNet.com. Incredibly shameless plug. And I did a little research because I was curious. I said, what is the average, roughly, healing period for a hamstring strain? They said 3 to 8 weeks. So depending on how severe it is, whether it's grade 1 or grade 2, if it's only grade 1, maybe he misses 3 weeks and we see him like around Memorial Day weekend. That's best case scenario. Or he has a grade 2 and we don't see him until July. The All-Star break, effectively, at that point. If that's the case, to your point, Joey, maybe it is time. But I think right now, Chris Flexen's the most ready to move into the rotation. Maybe Horton, hey, if Shota's going on the 15-day with no chance of coming back until, like, at best case scenario, the end of June, maybe you bring Cade Horton up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you could
and
do
let
that
him,
too. Yeah.
Because of all the off days. They have every Thursday this month off, starting this week. So outside of May 1st when they played, every Thursday now, the rest of the month they have off. You can push starts back days and still get 5 days rest and skip a spot in a rotation or something, or move Flexen back to the bullpen and, let Horton get a spot start, or maybe piggyback them or whatever. You can get creative with it to give him a taste. I agree with that. I think a lot of it, at least for me, Joey, is because I agree with you. I think there is ways to spin it where it would make sense to bring up Cade Horton. I'm not denying that. But to me, when you're also talking just about this team in general, right? Like Scott says, they have the best offense in baseball.
Yeah. I mean, they don't need a ton right now at this moment.
You just need somebody to keep you in games. And Chris Flexen can do that while you keep letting Horton work on his timeline.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I mean, I kind of talked about it when I was just talking it through there for a minute. But, Flexen's a guy that will give you the innings and not burn up your bullpen possibly too. Like, that's the other side of it. It's not just like keep you in games and, whatever with the offense. You want to also make sure that you're not ruining future games that you have coming up by burning through bullpens in a fucked up game. Like, excuse my language. Like, yeah, you're going to lose. You're going to have some laughers. You're going to have some games that you lose and it's going to go bad and the pitching's going to fail. But can you still muscle it out and give us 5 innings or 6 innings? Like right now, Cade Horton hasn't really pitched. I don't even know if he's hit 80 innings or 80 pitches in a start this year. Maybe
I think today he finally pushed toward like 82 pitches or something like that.
Okay. But it's
and
not
he made it 6. But see, that's another thing too, Joey. And I like that point. I didn't even think about that, but that's a great point. This Cubs team is built for their pitchers to put weak contact in play.
Yeah, they got the defensive guys.
They've got the defense. Let Matthew Boyd paint the corners and get weak contact. Let, Jameson Tyone have stuff that rides, that puts a lot of balls on the ground. The most of their pitching staff is built that way. Even when Shota's not striking people out.
Yeah.
Look, getting that weak contact with that splitter.
How many lazy routine fly balls did he have today? That's like, and you got PCA just roaming around and Gold Glover Hap out there, and Kyle Tucker's good in right field. Like, all around the diamond outside of third base, it's good.
And Nicky Lopez has looked good. Birdie is okay. And you have Dansby, who's going to make up for a little bit of that lost range at third. Maybe not all the time, but a decent amount of the time. I think too, and this is an interesting thought kind of along these parts as well, because I will say there is an angle here where you can make the argument of Horton strikes out so many guys that his pitch count gets high fast. Are you dipping into the pen in the in the fifth inning already because he's at 75 pitches through 4. Maybe he hasn't given up any runs, but because he walked 3 guys and he struck out 8, he's thrown a ton of pitches. Chris Flexen plays to the exact same skill set as Boyd, Colin Ray, Doda, Tyone. Weak contact, he cruises through games because he doesn't strike out a lot of people. He just puts the ball in play. It's weak contact and play. That's why the Cubs went out and got him. Mm-hmm. He fits the Cubs mold, man. That's what they do. And to your point, he had really good time in Seattle. 361, 373 ERAs in 2 seasons with over 30 starts. Like, it's in there. Even last year with the White Sox. Yeah, he had a 4.95 ERA, but he made 30 starts, and he gave you 160 innings. I bet you that was amongst the top guys.
Yeah, I don't think they had too many guys that were giving him 160 last season.
I don't even think they had too many guys giving them 130.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm willing to bet. I haven't looked at his under the hood stuff from last year. At least maybe I did when they first got him, but can't say I remember. I'm willing to bet that was, a little bit over the expectation where the ERA probably should have been last year too.
Oh yeah. So he's done some good stuff. I like this out of the box thought here from Fake Ball Coach. Flexen and Horton both start maybe a 6-man rotation for a little while.
I also like that idea, and I like it because it's going to give you that extra rest for Horton and kind of limit innings or pitches by default because you could be making, less appearances obviously with a 6-man rotation. So that's going to kind of we talked about it last year. We were questioning the fact that I think I was kind of hoping for it at some points last year of let's go 6-man. What do you have to lose? You got some guys that are knocking on the door that are pitching really well, and we were talking about it as why not just do that? Like Javier Assad, when he was, what are we going to do with Assad? Is he a bullpen? Is he a rotation guy? And we had all these guys that are kind of, above average, but not quite maybe the Steele Shota Tyone level of they're penciled in, but let's just go 6-man and just see how it rolls out. Sometimes that's fine too. I don't really mind that. I think the problem is though, you do that and you burn through a bullpen spot that you might need.
Right.
And that's the one area where it could hurt you.
In addition to that, Joey, we've really never seen, for the amount of attention and discussion that a 6-man rotation gets, we've really never seen anybody who's the first team that's going to dip into that idea. A lot of people I know at one point thought Tampa might have done something like that because Tampa does weird shit, right? They had the opener and all that kind of at the get-go. Everybody's waiting for the Dodgers to do it because of the amount of starting pitching they have. Are the Cubs the first team that does it to be weird? Or do you start throwing some of your workhorses? Because let's be honest. I know coming into the season, everybody's well, Ben Brown, we don't know yet because he hasn't thrown a ton of innings but Cade Horton's going to be really good, but he hasn't really thrown a ton of innings either. It's a lot of unproven talent. Your workhorses in the starting rotation, Matthew Boyd, when healthy, can give you innings. But especially Tyone's a workhorse. Shota's a workhorse in terms of innings. Steele was a workhorse in terms of innings. Their starting rotation was kind of built that way. And I think some of these guys want that ball every 5th day. So does a 6-man rotation start knocking good performances out of your guys who are consistently used to that every 5th day?
Mm-hmm.
Does the rest backfire in a way? Because
point.
We've seen it in baseball. The longer you don't play, to me, baseball in some aspects is like golf. The less often you do it, the more time you need to get reacclimated to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a lot of technique in baseball, especially as a pitcher, right? It's repeating your delivery, just like you repeat a golf swing. You throw that cadence off, man. They're creatures of habit. So I almost have that worry too. Even in addition to your point about the bullpen spot, it starts to make you what if and is now the time to experiment with this idea?
No, I that's a good point because do you really want to be thinking outside of the box or going outside of the box in a time where you are the front runners. Like, do
Yeah,
we need to be doing that? And I totally agree with you, man. Baseball is the sport where it's like these guys and certain guys are more so than others. But I would say for a good majority or good percentage of baseball players, they are wired a certain way of like routine. Like they
yeah,
get into their routines and they just it's what they have to do to get themselves ready to go and be effective. I mean, like a guy like Jameson
definitely.
Taillon, I don't know. I don't know if he would be. I'm sure if they got on the 6-man rotation and it was a regular thing, he would get used to it. But like, how does that affect? But Matthew Boyd, maybe it could help him because the injuries over the years. I don't know, but like it seems like he's in a rhythm right now. And then, like you said, they do have those baked in off days that are coming up here, and they've already had quite a bit too. It's just
Yeah,
weird how many off days are like in
a
this
lot of
early
off days.
portion of the schedule. And I don't know if I like that, to be honest, because I kind of want those off days later in
Later.
the year, but it isn't a terrible time right now with the injuries that we're suffering for the rotation. But that also can be complicated too, because now it's not just 6-man rotation extra day. The off day becomes now it's like 7 days.
Yeah,
So that even makes it a little bit more complicated. So I don't know what the answer is, Ron. I feel like this is they're
it's a
gonna they're
trick
gonna have
question.
some they're gonna have some thinking to do on this. They really are.
It's going to be, I'm actually intrigued. Like there's a level of anticipation I have for what this decision is and how the Cubs approach it going forward. Because I think that's going to tell you a lot about like maybe the front office mindset right now. It's either we feel like we need to go out of the box to do something right. We trust our young top pitching prospect, or hey, we're going to go with the vet that like this dude comes out here and like throws innings and he's going to do what we need him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like just bear with us for a little while till Shota gets healthy, and like we'll give you a starter at the deadline. Just let us get there first in one piece before all goes crazy. Tom with a good question or comment, I should say here, says worst part is that the pitchers that have been injured, aside from being our best ones, are the biggest workhorses. And guys
Mm-hmm.
like Steele and Shota. He says Ray Boyd Brown, he doesn't totally trust to make long outings. I think as long as Ray continues to be efficient, he can give you enough length to get 6 like pretty routinely. I agree with more so maybe Boyd because of the amount of guys he walks, just because of the way he pitches,
Yeah.
and Brown for sure. I wouldn't necessarily trust with long innings, but or long outings. Pardon me, but
I agree with that statement though, for like exactly what you said, those two guys for
yeah.
sure.
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens, Joey. That to me was probably that's the biggest narrative I think right now around the
Mm-hmm.
situation the Cubs are in. Again, we will know more on Monday when potentially some of you are listening to the show. Or if you're along watching with us live over on YouTube at On Tap Sportsnet, we appreciate you guys as always as well. Joey, we do still have more to talk about here, and that is an upcoming series for the Chicago Cubs. It's 3 games against. They're not even first in their own division, but they have a better record than the Cubs. The San Francisco Giants come to town. The final, dare we say, the final stone of the old glove with the Infinity Stones of NL West teams that the Cubs have had to play early this season. The Giants come to town. Verlander's in this, as well as Robbie Ray in this series for the Giants. They're playing good ball, 22-13. Yet because the NOS is so good, they're like third place or second place right now. This is a good Giants team. Like everybody was like, May's going to be easy. We're not out of the fire yet. What are you expecting out of the Cubs? Because you're back at Wrigley, and mind you, it's not going to be super warm the next handful of days in the evening. Can they small ball their way? Or Wrigley April/early May small ball their way to a victory over a good Giants team, or are these Giants going to come down and put humble the Cubs a little bit before a big series with the Mets over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what they're gonna have to do with the weather, right? I guess it depends
Yeah.
what the wind is doing, no matter what. But like if it's colder, usually it's just not a good playing
Usually the wind's
atmosphere at
blowing
Wrigley.
in.
So yeah, that's usually the case, and I would expect that to kind of yeah. The Giants are a good team, man. I don't know, like I'm kind of they have some like outlier performances this year that maybe not outlier is the right word, but like Yaz, like Yastrzemski is killing the ball, and he's not typically someone who's like, oh God, powerhouse Yastrzemski, like, and he's really hitting the ball really well this year. They do have the rest of the lineup though, like you can kind of get through it. So I would expect them to be able to kind of hang with them pitching wise, even though the pitching is kind of, not really questionable. We have pretty much the regulars kind of going here, at least for the most part, I think, in this series. But so I think that they can, I think really what we need to do is you got to hit the ball. Like Verlander is starting to pitch a little bit better here too. And that's a guy who, if the Giants do kind of fall out of the race, which right now you wouldn't expect them to, at least out of the wild card or anything, Verlander could be a good option to trade for the Cubs if he kind of continues where he's trending anyways. But yeah, I mean, really it just starts with the offense. Like you got to keep hitting the ball and really sound defense. Like we've seen too often, I think like this Cubs defense is good. Like they are good. The third base issue, and I know like you were saying, Nicky Lopez looked pretty good here this series or lately, and since he's kind of started or since he's joined the roster, but like Birdie,
yeah,
he's had some issues with like throwing the ball in the dirt. And even though, he's looked a little bit better here recently, I think all around we're making weird mistakes at weird times.
Agreed.
And it's like this team defensively is much better than what their errors compared to where they should be, or like defensive numbers across the league where they should be. If you look at this team, they should be a much better defensive team just individually how they are lined up. So if you're sound defensively, you hit the ball, you should probably beat this Giants team 2 out of 3. Like I just want another series win. I don't even need a sweep. Like let's get 2 out of 3 and just keep the ball rolling. I think we're in great position to do that.
Definitely. Scott says Boyd, Ray, Brown sounds like a sweep. And
I mean, I like that idea.
I do too. But I agree with you, Joey. I think at least if you're getting 2 out of 3, you're feeling really good about how things are continuing to go through one of the toughest schedules that I can recall ever that the Cubs have had, let alone anybody in baseball has had to deal with. And Scott also says here, Verlander's 0-2 with a 4.38 ERA. He's washed up. His last start was a loss against the Rockies.
I didn't catch his last start, so I don't know what he did in the last start, but I thought he was trending pretty good. But yeah, I mean, he's old. He's definitely old. I'll give him that.
He is definitely up.
Was he 42?
42, yeah, I think. He's older than his general manager or president of baseball operations, Buster Posey.
Shit. Yeah, Posey's one of the youngest, though, for sure.
That's true. But still, nonetheless, I will say this, Joey. I think the one thing I hope the Cubs get back to, if Wrigley is playing as we expect Wrigley to play, where you're not necessarily going to be able to slug, maybe a little bit because it's slowly starting to warm up, but like it's got to be hard. Like no lollygags are getting out of the ballpark. I want to see them run more again. PCA's stolen base attempt today was like the first time that they ran since Tuesday.
That's a little wild to me. With this team, the way that they've been running,
they've just been slugging the baseball. They've been able to slug their way out of problems when they can't get on base. They need to get creative and just get on base. Like worry about getting over with that speed. Start running on the base paths. Get these pitchers uncomfortable for the Giants. That's their strength, right? Is they pitch. They pitch, and they get offensive contribution from a few guys, and right, everybody does their job. The Giants remind me a little bit of the Patriots in the way they operate in terms of operationally, and it's very sound.
Boring.
Yeah, it's boring, but boring gets the job done. You know what I mean? I think they need to run in order to just get pitchers uncomfortable again. Like, I think part of it is when guys are getting on, nobody's running. And so pitchers aren't uncomfortable and, they're just not able to have the same impact until you get the base paths moving a little crazy, especially with PCA's barely been on base because every time he's been hitting the baseball, it's leaving the ballpark.
Right. I was going to say it's hard for him to steal bases when he's just
when he doesn't have the opportunity. Exactly. He's just going to take them all. He doesn't even need to steal them. There's going to be opportunity assuming the weather plays a little bit as we expect it to, start running. Get those boys on base and moving, and let's see what happens. It could be fun.
It's a lot of it. I had so much fun watching this team to this point, and maybe this week really. Even this week we had fun watching them. But I mean, like the way that they were running the bases for the most part this year, like that to me is like, wow.
This
like
is a work of art.
It's rebooting a part of my childhood that like left us for a while there, where it's just like walk, take
Definitely.
a stationary base, walk, try to slug it, try to hit an extra base. Let's get, try to score from first on a double in the gap. Like, all right, well, if you're stealing bases and you're making it to third on, stealing 2 bags, like, all right, that's just as cool if you get a base hit and score that run than it is trying to get all those runs in one swing of the bat from a home run or whatever, or 2 swings of the bat it might take, because you got to move them around a little bit further. Like I do love that. And I will say too, there was a guy that we mentioned earlier who he can definitely steal some bags. He's not like a speed demon, but I've been happy to see that he's at least breaking out of the funk since he was moved down in the order. Dansby Swanson, man, if he can continue what he's doing here this last week, I mean, and he's another guy in that lineup who can obviously steal. There's so many guys though that can move when it comes to like John Birdie, Nicky Lopez, whoever's in the lineup, Nico, Saya. I know Kyle Tucker, we had that scare today, who sounds like he's fine, but he steals a lot of bags too. But Swanson, man, I was really impressed to see. I was looking at what he did on this road trip. 9 for 23, 391 with 3 homers on the 6-game road trip since being dropped in the lineup too. So that is a big piece if that can continue. And I don't expect him to hit, maybe many home runs in the series with the weather, if the weather's going to be bad, or cold and blowing in, but definitely good to see, because, you replaced moving him down in the order. That 7, 8, 9 spot was so good. It's like, it's nice to see that I don't care if he stays down in that like 8 spot in the order or wherever it is. Like, we need that there.
I think there's some guys in baseball that just like they can be the best at their slot in the order, if that makes sense. Like the situation you get seeing the pitcher, if things are going the pitcher's way, you're not seeing the guy till the 3rd inning. Like there's time to get a feel for what he's doing. And Dansby's a high enough IQ player where I think he takes advantage of that intellectual side. So the lower he hits in the lineup, the more info he's got. And he's the type of hitter that if he's got a good feel for what's coming, that's when he does his best work, right? Because he is that, that IQ guy and plays defense. And I think he's just a really good low part of the lineup hitter. He was that in Atlanta with his best years. He was hitting like 7 because they were so
9,
deep.
Or 6, 7.
Yeah. Like he was 6, 7, 8 in that lineup because they were so deep. I think he's starting to feel that again. And I think that's working for the Cubs with what is happening. But I'll tell you what, Craig Counsell kind of got a 2-for-1 by moving Swanson in the lineup, because by moving Swanson down, Carson Kelly's been getting cleanup time and has actually delivered in that situation right now. So not only is Dansby getting hot where he is in the order, but even on the days that, if it's Amaya, he's hitting like 6, 7. He's ahead of Dansby in the lineup. And then when it's Kelly, he's hitting in the 4 spot. It's a win-win for what Craig Counsell did. And just a little tweak has got this lineup clicking again the way they needed to.
Well, PCA is the guy who actually made the comment, but it's such a good comment about him, the comfortability level that he feels in the 7 spot. And I know he's kind of been like, what was he, 6 today or something?
I think he was 6 today, yeah.
Or he's been kind of like, maybe shuffling just a little bit, maybe 1 up. But like he made such a good comment about how he feels comfortable in that 7 spot because he feels like he's kind of hidden and buried, which, there's kind of not much they can do with him when there's guys on base too. They have to attack him, and he's taking full advantage of that. So credit to him and credit to the rest of the lineup. But like he said, he doesn't have to be the guy, basically, is what he's saying. Like, I can go a little bit more hidden because of the way that this lineup is and how well they're doing. Maybe that's where Dansby can go a little bit more hidden. And if you noticed, a lot of the damage that he's done has been with guys, nobody on base. And they're just like, I think a lot of these pitchers there too, like, you know what? We have the 8th guy in the order. Dansby's been struggling. We're just going to attack him. And Dansby's like, okay. Like,
yeah.
fuck it. You got Ian Happ coming up in a couple batters and then Tucker, and like the way that the lineup is constructed.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take advantage, and I'm going to rake down here. Fine by us.
Again, the deeper your lineup is, which the Cubs went out and made their lineup deeper this year, it creates more mismatches, right? It creates more of the, hey, our philosophy, how we want to flow the game is, we want to kind of pitch around the edges with certain guys, but we really want to attack other guys. Well, when the guys you have to go attack are Pete Crow Armstrong and Dansby Swanson, like, you know what I mean?
Different.
It's to the point where, like, Dansby Swanson as an 8-hitter gets people going, holy shit, they're hitting Swanson 8?
Mm-hmm.
I got to worry about him this low in the lineup? That creates mismatches for these teams and how they game plan playing the Cubs too. And again, it's just the beautiful dominoes of baseball lineups. When you get guys hitting the way and your whole lineup's hitting, you can start to hide guys in the 7 and 8 spots because you're a nightmare to game plan against.
Yeah, absolutely.
An absolute nightmare. It's crazy, man. It's a lot of fun. I'm right there with you, dude. It's been so much fun to watch. And we don't have to wait very long. 6:40 start on Monday. And Joey, that's exactly what we're thinking here. So 6:40, 120 on Wednesday. It's a good old getaway game, midweek afternoon game. You can watch the game while you're eating your sandwich at your desk, doing whatever it is you're doing out there.
Drinking your orange juice.
Yeah, drinking your orange juice. Happy National Orange Juice Day, according to Joey.
Look it up. I'm serious.
I believe you. I believe you.
I don't know why I know that. I only know that because I looked it up. I'm like, what else? Not to this year, but I've looked up in the past. Like, what other national day is it that everyone's like, May the 4th be with you? Which I know is Star Wars. I understand, but like, I don't know. I had to find out.
National Orange Juice Day. Pretty fantastic. Tomorrow also Cinco de Mayo, so it's it's a celebration season, man. It's a celebration season. May 3rd, I believe, is if I remember my history correctly, is Polish Independence Day. So it's been busy. It's been fun though, and the Cubs making that a part of that festive time period with another series win against the Brewers. Again, 6:40, 120 this week. Some good pitching matchups. Should be fun. Joey, are you feeling 2 out of 3? Is that where
I think that's where I'm
lie?
Yeah, that's where my prediction is. I don't want to get ahead of myself and go full Scott from Iowa pick the sweep. I'm happy with 2 out of 3. Like, I'm genuinely, definitely. I don't need sweeps right now. I need them to keep motoring through 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. Like, if the mindset is let's just take every series, I think that's where the mindset needs to be. I mean, you want to win every single game. Like, yeah, if you can take 3, take 3. But let's just not lose any series. And we're in tremendous shape the rest of the division wise. So yeah, that's gonna be my prediction. And I guess are we doing fly the W's? We don't really do that much.
We haven't. Do you want to do one for old time's sake though? Do you got a guy? Because we can revisit it on Tuesday.
Yeah. I'm kind of trying to think of the pitching matches. Now we got Verlander, we got Robbie Ray.
And Roop. He's a righty.
Roop.
I think
reason I'm going to do this, and it's basically because I feel like he's such a streaky hitter. Like, when he finds it, he finds it. I'm gonna go with Dansby. That's gonna be my fly the W guy. I think he's gonna continue on with a nice series here at home, and I think he's gonna really embrace that being a little bit lower in the lineup. Continue to embrace it. And I think he's the type of dude who's not even just embracing it. He's the type that's like, oh, you're going to hit me lower and I'm struggling. Like, I'm fighting back. Like, I'm going to find it, like, I think that's where he is as a player. Like, he's a competitive dude. Like, he wants everything. So I'm going to go with Dansby. Who you got?
Joey, I'll tell you what. Kyle Tucker, Pico Armstrong, They might be the faces of the franchise right now. The marquee players, the elites in the lineup. Dansby Swanson's a good one too. There's a lot to love about this lineup right now. But you know whose superpower is just being the most Cub ever guy? It's Ian Happ.
Yeah, baby.
And if anybody thrives from playing at Wrigley Field when the weather's a little weird, it's Ian Happ. I've seen Ian Happ put on a lot of heroics at Wrigley in this kind of weather that we're experiencing. I've been to enough games. I was at that game last year, the home run against, ironically, I believe it was San Francisco.
Tyler there too? You guys are both
there?
Yeah.
That was the night, Joey, that Ron Luce had a slight fandom breakdown at Murphy's after the game. It was like, I was in utter disbelief. You'll have to ask Tyler. I'll bring it up to Tyler on Tuesday because it was a Tuesday game too, ironically. But I've seen Ian Happ have a lot of heroics. That dude's superpower is the vibe at Wrigley Field in a home game. Like that dude like Ian Happ's going to be the guy that when he's done playing is on Marquee Sports Network, is making fucking guest appearances at Wrigley Field on a routine basis, signing autographs in the city. Like just one of those like all-time Cubs, man. He's going to thrive off of this fan base being excited about 2 consecutive series wins in your own division. And he's going to thrive in this series this week. So Ian Happ is my pick.
I love it. Dude, he truly feeds off those left field bleachers, doesn't he?
He does. I'll tell you what, Joey, I also went back, and this was a game that we got to take in together. The debuts of the Baby Blues.
Oh, sick. Need one still.
I need one too. That was not meant to rhyme, by the way. It just kind of worked. But yes, I need a Baby Blue yet as well. But on that note, I watched the like March, April team highlights from Marquee today. That Ian Happ catch was number 2.
Best catch I've ever seen in person live.
1,000%.
And I told people this, and I don't know, like, that I've seen some really good catches in person. That was insane.
It was phenomenal. It was unbelievable, to say the very least. I'm telling you, man. I'm feeling it with Ian Happ this week. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Speaking of that, Joey, as we mentioned, we keep bringing up Tuesday. Well, that's the next time we're gonna be back on the microphone. It's Tuesday. That show is teeing up, I believe, to include myself as well as Tyler. So that should be fun.
There we go.
Do you want to see the comment? Is that what you're
I want that comment up there right now. Yes.
Shout out to Alex Cohen on his call of PCA's home run. #, know the name.
Dude, Alex Cohen, I have loved just about every second from every single second that he's been calling these games. And it's not a shout at Boog. I'll let other people, if they want to do that, they can. But I mean, I like Boog. Alex Cohen's terrific. Like, Alex Cohen deserves a major league job, whether it's here or somewhere else. We got a chance to talk to him during CubsCon, and he was an awesome dude to have a conversation with.
Human being, yes.
But he just did a tremendous job. Like this entire time that he's been calling games, he's done a fantastic job. And know the name, Alex Cohen. Pete Henry, Crow Armstrong, Yeah, or was it Hank? Sorry, did I screw that up?
I think you nailed it.
Yeah, okay.
Pete Henry, Crow Armstrong. Yeah.
I didn't know the other part of
the name. Hey, man.
But no, now I know the name. But
now you know the name.
He's been fantastic, so I love that comment. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, I completely agree. Do you know why it's been Alex? Is Boog like on vacation or something?
Wasn't he? I think I saw something about he's on the mend. Like, did he get sick or something? Like,
maybe.
I don't know what's going on. I didn't really actually look into it yet, but I did.
I haven't seen anything about it. Well, I hope Boog's doing well. But you know what, Joey, I completely agree with you. Alex Cohen deserves a major league job. I don't know where. I don't know if that's in Chicago or if that's elsewhere. Either way, he's incredible. Yeah, and fake ball coach. Boog's been sick.
Okay,
Okay.
there you go. Yeah.
Well, I hope
was
Boog's
wondering. I
feeling
just
better.
saw on the mend.
But I'll tell you what, this was something I think we talked about internally because I believe it was announced right around CubsCon that Alex Cohen would be the lead secondary broadcaster to Boog this year on Marquee for the first time. Not just like spot fill in here with, Beth Mowens would do a couple games and Pat sometimes went to TV, remember, and did like Sunday games.
Which I love that too, by the way, because Pat is
because it's elite, dude. It's elite. It's absolutely elite. But I loved getting to hear Alex because, like you said, we got to talk to him extensively. Him and Miguel Esparza at CubsCon, which was awesome. Yeah, he was great. I genuinely enjoyed listening to Alex Cohen. I enjoyed listening to Alex Cohen talk baseball, and him and he really. I saw somebody note it, and I don't recall who it was, and it's going to piss me off. I need to start marking these like somewhere, writing them down so we can give proper credit. But the note was Alex Cohen dips into JD's experience as a ball player a lot.
I saw that too. That was great
great observation.
Yeah, great observation.
Which is true. Because Boog is also an entertainer. Like Boog brings some of the jokes, and him and JD have a good rapport where they can laugh with each other while still calling a good ball game. It's one type of product. Like JD just as a broadcaster is a good broadcaster, not just a player that is a broadcaster, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like it's a different type of performance on a microphone. But when it's Alex and JD, it's like some of the he brings the pitcher out of Jim DeShay's, right? Like, and it's kind of cool to see that different side because you can have two favorite flavors of ice cream and they can be totally different. That's what it is. And we're very lucky, I think, as Chicago sports fans to have good commentators consistently across all of our sports. It's the best. And yeah, Alex Cohen was great all weekend. Just a real quick comment here, Joey, before we begin to wrap things up. Darren, any word on Imanaga's hammy? I'm using this as my own little preview. Be on the lookout. Monday is going to be when the news drops about Shota Imanaga. You can find out more over at ontapsportsnet.com and, maybe even some thoughts and opinions from the guys on what's to come and reactions and things of that nature. We'll find out, but it sounds not great, like at least an IL stint. And maybe it's the minimum. More likely than not, it's probably a little more than the minimum. So
I wouldn't even be shocked if it should be the minimum. Like, let's say he's doing well, they're just going to be like, you know what? Let's play it safe. Like, let's say they have a 3-game lead and they haven't picked up much steam since then, but like by the 3 weeks, and they're like, okay, keep out for just a little bit, and then they like slowly cook him back on a rehab assignment or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it'll be a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit of time as well. We'll find out for sure as it comes. Again, we'll see you on Tuesday on Tap Sportsnet on the YouTubes. Go over there. Follow our friends over at the Dingers Podcast. You know where to find them. Find Joey and I. You can find our handles here on the broadcast or in the podcast description. You can get the whole team there. Go follow everybody over there as well. Follow us at Cubbies on Tap. In addition, you guys know the drill. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks. It's all coming. There's a lot of off-season stuff to come with those teams. And yes, Cubs fans, you got friends that like the White Sox, and so do we. Believe it or not, they like that team, that garbage-ass team on the South Side. They like them. But you can send your friends to our friends. They can all go be friends over at Sox on Tap, ontapsportsnet.com, and at ontapsportsnet on the socials, because Joey, check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. My friend, it's always a pleasure being on the microphone with you. Great conversation here tonight. Lots to come, and I'm sure it'll make Tuesday's show even more interesting and certainly something worth diving into. Thank you to everybody in our comment section, as always, for jumping in with us. Season-long injury, that will be an issue from Scott. Darren says he grimaced running to cover first. Grimace is never good. I completely agree. But, Joey, most importantly, FTC, the Giants. So FTG.
Yeah,
and,
FTG.
And what else, Joey? Let's go Cubbies?
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's go Cubbies.